going. Here we go.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sheila. And thank you, Shanti Davis Center, Sunny, for being here as well. And thank you for inviting me to share a little bit of my experience of meditation. And thank you all for participating. You know, teaching is a great gift because in preparation, it deepens my own knowledge, you know, as I need to study and practice and think about what it is that I'm trying to share. So as Sheila said, I've been studying and engaging in various practices in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition for close to 50 years. And I have found tremendous benefit in trying to follow the Buddha's advice. So I'd like to begin by offering a little motivation for our time together this evening, beginning with a mission statement that was written by my partner, Keith, when he was in college. I don't know too many people that write a mission statement when they're in college, but he did, and it inspires me. He wrote, "Imagine a world filled with joy, in which you leap from bed, excited to explore the day, where nature's beauty surrounds you, and everyone you meet inspires you with their generosity and love. My goal is to live in such a world, and where I don't find it, to help create it." So I have a waking yoga, and it helps to remind me of Lama Zopa Rinpoche's advice to appreciate each new day, to hold impermanence as my advisor, and to set a bodhicitta motivation. I use Thich Nhat Hanh's prayer, which is, "I wake up this morning and smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look upon all beings with eyes of compassion." And then I like to add His Holiness the Dalai Lama's prayer, where he says, "I pray for the oppressor and the friend, that together we may succeed in building a better world through human understanding and love, and thereby reduce the pain and suffering of all sentient beings." So if we can use those as our prayer, as our motivation for participating this evening, to build a better world, to reduce the pain and suffering of all sentient beings. Thinking like this upon waking, I remember how precious this life is, and that I'm going to lose it. And that the best use of it is to cultivate a bodhicitta motivation, living fully in each moment, remembering what to adopt and what to abandon, training my mind to walk the path toward enlightenment for the welfare of all sentient beings. This is a worthwhile motivation, I think, to walk the path toward enlightenment. So I thought, being as how this is a class on meditation, we would start with a meditation. So since our posture is the foundation of our meditation, I will invite you to find a good seat, to sit fully. And we establish, we establish our posture, allowing our spine to lengthen and straighten. And the idea is to come into a space of relaxation, stillness, and vigilance. To facilitate relaxation, I invite you to bring your awareness to the crown of your head, right there. And then allow it to ever so gently float down through the center of your body. And wherever there is any tension, allow it to release, to soften, to relax, coming to the brow and around your eyes, like a warm, gentle, soothing light, softening down through the center, coming down to your jaw. Notice what the sensation is when all the facial muscles succumb to gravity. And coming down into your neck, feeling the back of your neck and across your shoulders. Sometimes lifting them and then allowing them to drop gives a sense of fully relaxing them. And then coming down your arms, all the way to the tips of your fingers. Your palms resting gently in your lap. Coming back up to begin to float down your torso. Come into your upper back. Breathing into your shoulder blades. Releasing your chest. Down to the small of your back. And all the way to your sit bones. Let your belly be soft to receive the full breath. Nothing to hold in. Let your glutes be soft and your thighs. Then down past your knees, giving them some love. Down your calves, past your ankles, to the soles of your feet and the tips of your toes. Feeling the places where your body touches the mat or the cushion, the seat. Allow a sense of stability, of being grounded, well held by Mother Earth. Connected there, feeling safe. Leaving behind the day, leaving behind any plans for the future. Resting fully in momentary present awareness of this precious body. How wonderful. Begin to take notice of the breath in the body. Without force or impedance, notice how the belly rises and falls. Without preference for long or short. Simply allowing the body to breathe. And then fine-tuning our awareness. Choose whether you attend to the breath in the abdomen or at the tip of the nose, the sensation at the nostrils. Whichever is most comfortable for you, we stay with that particular object and count for 10 full cycles. Experiencing the sensation at that one point. And if the mind gets kidnapped by a thought or a feeling, simply return lovingly and kindly to one. Take notice when your mind is fully engaged with the sensation of the breath, and when it has been distracted and following a thought. The difference between following the thought and coming back to the sensation of the breath. Release the counting and simply attend to the sensation and take notice, particularly at the turning points, at the end of the exhale and at the end of the inhale, knowing when you breathe out and when you breathe in, for just a few minutes, with vigilance, a strong determination to remain present. Resting fully in momentary present awareness of the sensation of the breath as it flows out and back in again. Just the breath. That's all. So begin to come back into the body and do a little bit of stretching. How was that? Did you find some stability? Did you find your mind was somewhere else? Taking little side trips, perhaps? It's hard to know. Can you raise your hand if you have a daily meditation practice? Okay. For those of you who do not have a daily meditation practice, do you aspire to have one? Yeah. It's, what about meditation? You know, in the Buddha's first teaching upon awakening, he offered this teaching to the group of ascetics with whom he had practiced for several years. And he shared what is now called the Four Noble Truths. He said, there is suffering. It has a cause, it has a cessation, and there is a path to that cessation. He also said, this is how it appears to me. But you must explore, analyze, and investigate how the mind fabricates its experience of the world until you have no doubt in your heart. Explore, analyze, investigate until you have no doubt in your heart. If you're like me, you wish there was a fairy godmother, who could go salagatula, minchikabula, bibbidi babidi boo, and then we have it. But it takes practice, right? The end of suffering is through the path of meditation. Through the practice of meditation, cultivating concentration and awareness, we have the potential to use the many mind training techniques that our teachers have offered to us to help create this beautiful world that we aspire to live in. The Tibetan word that is translated as meditation is gom, G-O-M, and it means simply to become familiar. We sometimes say, I'm going to the Gompa. Gompa is simply a place to become familiar. We become familiar with how the mind fabricates its experience of the world. Meditation, this ancient wisdom tradition, has been used by countless practitioners to actualize their highest potential, full enlightenment. And we can too. It's through meditation that we grow our ability to help create a better world by eliminating the causes of suffering and growing the causes of happiness. Whenever I think of these two, I think of the song that Jiminy Cricket sang to Pinocchio, right? Accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. And really, the whole Buddhist practice is like that. Accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. So this is how we train the mind. Meditation looks at the mind in order to train it. And actually, over time, we do discover how the mind fabricates our experience of the world. We discover our true nature, our Buddha nature, which is existent within us right now. I met Lama Thubten Yeshe in 1977, and he was very clear. He told us that it was so important to know that we do have this clear light mind existent within us right now, but it's obscured. Many times he reminded us how important it was for us to know and to remember this, to understand this essence of our own mind. He said, we have to ban this self-pity mind from the universe. I attended a Mind and Life conference with His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala, where the topic was destructive emotions. And when one of the scientists was explaining the pervasiveness of negative self-talk in the West, His Holiness seemed genuinely surprised. Alan Wallace and Thupten Jinpa were the interpreters, and they spent time explaining what this was. And His Holiness asked, if we understand our human potential, our Buddha nature, how could we ever disparage ourselves? Understanding our great potential, we can be motivated to ban the self-pity mind that Lama referred to. Meditation helps in that training. We begin to see how no thought has any essence. Thoughts need energy to survive. In his heart advice to Naropa, the great master Tilopa explained the disadvantages of allowing negative mind to persist. He said, let nothing surface in your mind. Be free of hatreds and desires. They're just waves upon the water, rising up and dying down. When hatreds or desires arise, they block you from seeing the clear light. You lose your realizations and you break the vows and pledges which you promised to protect. Let nothing surface in your mind. Now, it doesn't mean that nothing arises. That's impossible. It means don't bring them to the surface and engage them. In meditation, we develop focused attention on one object. We also have peripheral awareness, right? You know, we're focused on the object, but we have peripheral awareness. The dog barking, the door closing, the phone ringing, the person talking. That peripheral awareness is there. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, plans, ideas, mental images, all sensory perceptions and appearances arise as distractions vying for attention. You know, look at me, look at me, look at me, pulling us. But because, and this is really important, because we can't hold two thoughts at the same time. If the thought is not allowed to surface, they fizzle. If we don't engage with them, invite them in for tea, and have a conversation, they don't stay. They arise, they abide, and they pass. Thoughts need energy to survive. Training the mind, developing focused attention takes practice. And it's a practice that is so worthwhile because it will help us create a kinder, gentler, happier, more beautiful world. Buddha said, I've shown you the path to freedom. Whether you succeed or not is up to you. We must practice in order to bring our intellectual understanding into personal experience. Recently, I heard a teaching by Venerable Renee, my dear friend and longtime teacher. I appreciated his example of how to begin, what's important. And he said that to bring our intellectual understanding into personal experience, the blessing of Guru Yoga is quite important. He also emphasized that this concept is not something that we are familiar with in our culture, right? I thought about this truth, that we don't typically revere our school teachers, right? Our chemistry teacher, for example, and look for ways to serve them. We don't put their pictures up on the wall, and we don't aspire to become like them. We don't necessarily even think that their teaching is something that will potentially dramatically change our life. Venerable Rene went on to give an example. He said, a young man, or a young person, I should say, may put up an image of a footballer. He said footballer. He meant soccer player, right? Like a football player. And he said they admire them. They cultivate a wish to become like them. They practice. They join a team. And they try to become a star player. They may even have some success. But then he said they grow old and they must stop playing. And nothing much happens spiritually for them. And then he said, but if I take a Buddha, as a role model and aspire to become like them, following their advice, my mind becomes more and more like theirs. And as he pointed out, the goal is very different, but the process is a little bit similar. In the case of Guru Yoga, we put up images of enlightened beings. We put up images of our teachers, right? We follow their advice. We aspire to become like them. They're our role models. Sometimes, Venerable Rene said, sometimes people ask him if he ever feels lonely in retreat. And he explained that in retreat, he doesn't feel lonely at all because he's surrounded by the Buddhas who are with him every day. And through his practice, they become very present. He invites them into his heart, and he feels loved. This is my experience too. To grow our devotion, we have to grow our faith. There are 3 types or 3 levels of faith. So we begin with a faith of conviction. The football player likes the game and he has a conviction that it's a good thing and that he could become a star player. And in this context, we cultivate the faith that enlightenment is possible and that we can discover it. That enlightenment is possible. What is this enlightened mind? Geshe Loden, in his Path to Enlightenment, said, the enlightened mind is filled with the greatest, most far-reaching love, fused with wisdom and compassion, completely free of ignorant hatred, ignorant desire, and fundamental ignorance. It's an unstoppable wellspring of happiness, peace, and contentment, filled with boundless joy and no limitations to creating beneficial circumstances reflecting that joy. That's a good mind. That's a good mind. We cultivate the faith that enlightenment is possible in this mental continuum, in my own mind, and that we can discover it ourselves. The second is the faith of admiration. In the case of the football player, they admire the star football player's qualities. And in this context, we admire the Buddhas and our teachers by focusing on their qualities, reading biographies, seeing all their deeds and realizations. More and more admiration comes. when that's our focus. The more we focus on our spiritual teacher's good qualities, cultivating admiration, the more devotion we have. It's not something innate, particularly in this culture. It's something we have to cultivate. Our culture is very different than Tibet or India. If you've been around Tibetans when His Holiness the Dalai Lama is around, they're unbelievable, in their eyes, unbelievable devotion. Eyes so full of devotion. And then the third type of faith is the faith of aspiration. We want to become like them. And these three types of faith inspire guru devotion, which is developed by meditating on them, convincing ourselves that we do have the seed of enlightenment existent within us right now, and that we can cultivate it to fruition. Growing our admiration for our teachers, focusing on their good qualities, serving them, aspiring to actualize the path. We cultivate a determination to do so, and we develop a sustainable practice. Strangely enough, the Buddha's path is meant to be practiced, not just studied, not just intellectually understanding, but practicing until it becomes our own truth. It's the juice, Venerable Renee said, of the Guru's blessing that transforms our mind, not our intellectual knowledge. It brings about an inner transformation. But in our Western culture, we're not used to that. So it takes some work. As Venerable Renee mentioned, when he feels really close to his teachers and receives their blessings, an inner transformation happens very easily. There's a richness that we get from spiritual practice that has guru devotion as its main ingredient. We develop it by working on the three types of faith. Personally, I have found that the greater my understanding of the path and the more benefit that I see from my own practice, the deeper is my love and devotion for my teachers who have shown me this good road. It takes time, but it's so worthwhile. So in the actual practice of guru devotion, the actual practice, we imagine an enlightened being before us, and we think, this is none other than my own root Lama. Lama, Lama, the Tibetan word that is translated as guru or teacher. Lama means literally highest mother. I love that. We turn to our highest mother for protection. We take refuge. We confess our mistakes. We rejoice in our good deeds and our qualities, our good qualities of ourself and others. And we make offerings. We request blessings. And then they smile lovingly at us, come to our crown, dissolve into us, and awaken and energize our Buddha nature as we become one with them, parting the veil that obscures our clear light mind. And then we pause and hold that feeling. That feeling of divinity, of oneness, of purity, of awakening mind. The power is in the pause. The transformation is in the pause. the feeling of oneness with the Guru's, the Buddha's enlightened mind. Then, as Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, believe in that. Believe in that. Maybe you have heard or know William James, sometimes known as the father of modern psychology. He said, that to which we attend in the moment becomes our reality. And if I think like that, then if I am actually bringing the Buddha into my heart with all those qualities and becoming one with them, their mind and my mind become one taste. And I pause and I just hold that, believe in that, stay, and don't rush. Because usually when we come to the end of the practice, we go, oh, bish, bash, bosh, we're done, and dedicate, and hallelujah, I did that. But in this case, what is the point? The point is to transform our mind, to transform, to ban the self-pity mind from this universe, as Lama said, and to revel in this beautiful mind. Once again, Tilopa said in his Ganges Mahamudra teaching, he said, you won't see the object beyond all thought with the things you're thinking. You won't find the object beyond all deeds with the things you're doing. If you truly long to reach the object beyond all thought, beyond all deeds, take a trip inside your mind and rest there within the naked mind. Penetrate the putrid swamp of your conceptions. Don't feed or strangle what appears. Just take it as it comes. And when there is no more to grasp or to let go, you are released into clear light mind. Yeah. And then you stay. The truth is in the pause. When the Guru dissolves, they awaken within us that which we already have. The Guru and I become one. They're always in my heart. Buddha nature is existent within us right now. And that's the quickest path to enlightenment. It is the Guru that reveals the clear light mind. The Guru reveals your Buddha nature. And when we apply their teachings, the antidotes to suffering, we increase the causes of happiness. In order to cultivate, to grow our devotion to our teachers and the path, I'd like to share the Shakyamuni Buddha practice with you. It's a Guru Yoga that is very short, maybe. Sheila, do you do that practice at Shantideva Center, the Guru Shakyamuni Buddha Yoga, Guru Yoga? Or maybe you do Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga, or you do some of those. Certainly, whenever there is one has received an empowerment and is doing any kind of deity yoga, the very beginning of each yoga has a point where one is practicing Guru Yoga. So you are recognizing, there's my Lama. My Lama is the Buddha. And then you go through the process of prostrating, taking refuge, making offerings, confessing, the stages in the 7-limb prayer. So I thought maybe we should stretch first, take a 3-minute personal care break, and then come back and do the Guru Yoga practice. And I'll just introduce it. I'll say a few words about it. And I think Sheila will share the practice, but it's in the little practice book that was available for download. So let's just take a 3-minute break and stand up and stretch, or maybe use the restroom or get a drink of water. And I'll be right back. So say a few words about this Shakyamuni Buddha Guru Yoga practice. As we begin, I mentioned that we begin by allowing an idea, a feeling, an image of the Buddha appearing before us, and thinking of them as our own teacher, our own guru. They're one, you know. That our guru is actually more kind than the Buddha because they're here teaching us. We didn't actualize enlightenment when the Buddha was teaching 2,500 years ago. So we have our teachers manifest as human beings on our level that we can actually interact with, and to see them, all their qualities as being enlightened qualities, really trying our best to see them as the Buddha. So we imagine that our guru appears before us as Shakyamuni Buddha, and we imagine that there's a beautiful throne covered with jewels, and he's adorned with heavenly silks, and he's smiling lovingly at us. Or she, you know, we say he because Buddha is manifesting as in male form, but we can think of our guru in that body. Okay, so it's a trying to be neither male nor female. You know, a Buddha, Lama said, Buddhas are fully developed male and female energy. So it's not like this or that. Okay, so we begin by taking refuge. And there are 3 levels of refuge, if we can think about those 3 levels. The first level is taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Buddha, the historical Buddha, Dharma, his teachings, and the Sangha, our community of practitioners, our community. And then the second level, when we take refuge the second time, to think about the enlightened mind, taking refuge in the enlightened mind, in seeing reality as it is, the path to that enlightened mind, and the Arya beings who have had that experience of seeing emptiness directly. So that's the second level. The third level, which is ultimate refuge, is taking refuge with confidence in the knowledge that the essence of our own mind is wisdom. Its nature is luminous clarity, and its compassion is all pervasive. So those are the 3 levels of refuge that we take when we are going for refuge. Then the second half of that prayer is by my virtuous actions of giving and so on. Those are the so on are the 6 perfections. So the perfections, the practice of a bodhisattva, practicing generosity, practicing ethics, practicing joyful effort, practicing patience, concentration, and wisdom. And then may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. So we're attending to that goal. That to which we attend in the moment becomes our reality. That we're making our goal. And then we recite the 4 immeasurables. The reason they're called immeasurables is because they can be cultivated immeasurably. Love, compassion, joy, and equanimity can be cultivated immeasurably. And they're cultivated on immeasurable sentient beings. And then we recite the 7-limb prayer. This prayer, Geshe Gelsen, who is the founder of Thupten Dargye Ling in Long Beach, told us when he taught at Vajrapani in the very early 80s, he said, this prayer is the whole path. It has all the elements of practice within it. And then we request blessings to achieve every level on the path to enlightenment. So this particular prayer is really a very concise reminder of Lama Tsongkhapa's Lamrim, the stages of the path. Very concise. So may I be inspired by Guru devotion. There we are, creating the juice. May I be uplifted by the preciousness of this human life, recognizing with this life, anything's possible. Shed the fetters of attachment and aversion through a knowledge of impermanence. So these two, the precious human life and impermanence, these two generate the lower scope motivation. So that is a motivation for positive future rebirths. And then to be protected by refuge and guided by a knowledge of actions and their results, that's a recognition of how actions produce results. And we take refuge from samsara. So the four thoughts that turn the mind to practice are this precious human life, the fact that it's impermanent, the fact that actions produce results, and the results of those actions can very often be a suffering result. And samsara, we wish to be free of that. So those four thoughts turn us to practice. So we aim for liberation through renunciation. We say, nah, I'm getting off the wheel. And then, may I be motivated by bodhicitta. So this generates the highest motivation, enlightenment itself. And then the 6 perfections. May I actualize fully those 6 perfections. And then we offer everything in the universe in the form of a mandala, offering a beautiful world, the beautiful world that we're creating, and everything we love, we offer. And this grows our Guru devotion, making these offerings. And so now that's cultivating this soil to receive the blessings. The soil of, I think, non-harming, ahimsa, with this idea, I never want to harm. Then that grows love. Not only do I not want to harm, but I want to bring happiness. So love is the wish for the beloved to have happiness in all its causes, which generates compassion, the wish for the beloved to be completely free of suffering and all its causes, which generates this universal responsibility, this attitude of, I've got to do something about it, this suffering world, which, as we look at it, right now, unlimited. So on top of this universal responsibility, we say, I will do something about it. I'm going to become a Buddha. So this enlightenment mind, bodhicitta, I will attain a state of perfect enlightenment, and then I'll free all sentient beings from the ocean of samsara suffering and place them in the bliss of perfect enlightenment. This bodhicitta, one who has that is a bodhisattva, an enlightenment warrior. And Buddhas are born from bodhisattvas. So I always like to extrapolate back to the soil of kindness, growing love, compassion, taking responsibility, developing bodhicitta, and practicing in order to actualize the path. So then we recite Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra. And as we do so, we're seeing our Guru Buddha. When we say Guru Yoga, Shakyamuni Buddha, Guru Yoga, Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, this is our Guru manifesting as Shakyamuni Buddha before us. So when we recite this mantra, light rays radiate from our Guru's heart and just fill us up, getting rid of all the obstacles to our practice, granting us all these blessings that we requested. And then we request them, please, bless my mind. And he comes and dissolves into us, comes to our heart. When he dissolves, here, this is what I've said before, in the pause. When he dissolves, we release all of our ordinary concepts. And we feel that we have been blessed with a taste of clear light mind. Tilopa said, 1 instant of the clear light dispels 1 billion years of bad deeds and obstructions. So allowing a taste, resting there, letting nothing surface in our mind, growing our concentration right there with a feeling of rejoicing in our goodness, feeling loved and loving, all without an egoic self-sense, just being that loving mind. That's all. It's really, we allow that feeling of rejoicing in our goodness to energize the feeling of being loved and loving. So we expand our heart without conceptualizing. It's not like we're going step by step conceptualizing about it. No, we just allow that open-heartedness to warm the whole world, the universe, and rest in that, pause in that, stay in that. So let's practice this, if you like. All right, so find your meditation seat and sit fully, allowing perhaps 3 breaths for now to simply let go of any conceptual meanderings, any doubt, and allow the image of your Lama as Shakyamuni Buddha to appear before you. And don't worry about thinking, oh, I can't visualize. Don't worry about that. It's just an idea. It's a feeling of an open-hearted Lama before you who wants nothing more than to help you actualize this path, smiling benevolently at you. Then we turn to them and take refuge, remembering the 3 levels as we recite. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. By my virtuous actions of giving and so on, may I become a Buddha to benefit all beings. May all beings have equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. May all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings find good rebirths and the bliss of liberation. Allowing that deep, heartfelt wish for all beings to be free. And then requesting these blessings. May I be inspired by Guru devotion. Oh, excuse me. First, we're going to do the 7-limb prayer. Yes. I prostrate with body, speech, and mind. I make each and every offering. I confess my mistaken karma and rejoice in every virtuous deed. Please, Buddha, stay until samsara ends. Teach Dharma to every sentient being. I dedicate to great enlightenment. And we make this heartfelt request. May I be inspired by Guru devotion, uplifted by the preciousness of this human life, shed the fetters of attachment and aversion through a knowledge of impermanence, be protected by refuge, guided by a knowledge of actions and their results, aim for liberation through renunciation. May I be motivated by bodhicitta, opened by giving, disciplined by ethical behavior, strengthened by patience, enthused by joyous effort, stabilized by concentration, and freed by wisdom. And then we make a mandala offering, visualizing a beautiful world and offering that to our Lama. Oh, this ground scented with perfume and covered with flowers, adorned by Mount Meru, 4 worlds, sun and moon, I imagine as a Buddha land, and then offer it. May all beings enjoy this pure land. I send this jeweled mandala to you, my precious Guru. And then as we recite Shakyamuni Buddha's mantra, think of them smiling down and radiating this amazingly blissful, wonderful light into our bodies with just a wish that we bring this practice to fruition and become fully enlightened beings. Taya ta om muni muni maha munai so. 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 Taya ta om
Mahamunai Soha Taya Tao Muni Muni Mahamunai So. And then we receive the Guru's blessing of his holy body, speech, and mind. Oh, magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon seat at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and stay with me always until I achieve enlightenment. And now we imagine our Lama, Lama Shakyamuni Buddha, smiling at us and then melting into light, into a small sphere of light, and coming to the crown of our head. And this small sphere of light, whose nature is great love, begins to flow down, descending gently down through the center of our body, coming to rest at the level of our heart. And as we inhale, imagine that that light within us, that light of love, is energized. And as we exhale, we imagine that light beginning to expand, energizing on the inhale, expanding on the exhale. Until our whole body is filled with warm, loving light. And we know we are loved. Experiencing this love within, we know we are loving. And this light continues to become energized and expand. We feel it passing through all of our pores in all 10 directions. Going out, filling the room, filling the house, beyond the walls, out into the city, into the state, the whole country, beyond the country, to blanket the world with love, a wish for all beings to have happiness in all of its causes. And then allow this love to continue to expand out into the universe. As far as imagination will allow, into the infinitude of space. And then gradually, like breath on a mirror, contracting back. And as it does so, all conceptual worlds are dissolving. The house dissolving. The room dissolving. The body dissolving. Right into the center of love. Oneness with the mind of clear light. Rest there. In the pause. Let appearances appear as nothing but the play of mind. This is your mind's true nature. It is like the sky. With no object to focus upon, the natural mind is clear. Rest in your real nature. How wonderful. Nothing to do. Nothing to undo. Nothing to force. Nothing to want. Nothing missing. And then we crystallize into our bodhisattva selves, feeling our fingers and our toes, allowing a sense of gratitude for taking this trip inside our mind. And we have a few minutes. Maybe we could take one question or two questions if you had something you wanted to ask, or, I do want to dedicate, but if anybody had any burning question that came up. And also to tell you that you can email me throughout the week here. Retreat Elaine at gmail.com. Please feel free to reach out, to email me, to ask a question or share an experience, or make a request. I'm happy to hear from you. Hi, Amy. It's fun to see some of my old friends popping in. I see John Landau's name. So it's really a treat to be able to sit with you. Anyway, you think about it. And if you have ideas or questions or comments, please don't hesitate to share them with me. And then Sheila, yes, please.
Yeah, I have a question. Could you talk a little bit more about the pause, power of the pause?
The pause. Well, you see, typically, when we're saying prayers, there's a lot of words, So now we come to a place where we're stopping. We've dissolved and we take a moment. We pause without instructing ourselves to do anything else. Usually the mind is very busy instructing itself what's next, telling itself, now do like this, now do like that. So then in the pause, when we stop, particularly when we are doing, I think as we begin our practice, always at least 10 cycles of breath. Come to your cushion. In the little booklet, there's a how to practice, page 6, I think, or 5 or 6. There's the posture and the practice. To go through those steps, and for sure, we gotta till the soil. We gotta get the mind ready to drop in to have an experience, not just an intellectual exercise, but to actually stop for a moment, paying attention when you're doing your cycles of breathing, counting. So breathing in, 1, and there's a turning, and then out, and there's a pause there. If you look for it, you see how there's a space between the exhale, particularly, and the inhale. So it's paying attention to that. And you might even hold your breath briefly to recognize that, oh. And in that pause, to really be able to see the mind at the same time. There's nothing, you're not looking at anything when you're breathing, right? You're not staring at your nose. So you're staring at the mind. What's always aware of what's arising in the mind and the body, but focused on the breath right there. So the pause that I'm really speaking about is the time when the Lama dissolves into you, particularly when you send out this love. It's this expansion of mind, expanding the mind out, because we tend to think the mind's, in here, in this place right here. So now send your awareness out and you begin to see, oh, awareness is not confined. It's not. It's going way out there and can go all the way out into the universe. Okay, and recognize that. Pause there. Love out in the universe. And then gradually contracting that back, everything dissolving, slowly, slowly coming until poof. And you pause in the poof, in the stopping, right there. To begin to check, to begin to see, what is this nature of mind? What is this mind? So when we begin to see that when thoughts arise, if we don't engage them, they do not stay. So the idea of concentration meditation, to develop this sense of focused meditation, is to be able to see that impermanence, this subtle impermanence that's happening all the time. It's moving. That thought is arising. In time, you begin to see the thought as it just begins to poke its nose through the surface, and you don't engage it. And then it's like guests coming to the party, uninvited. You don't give them tea. And then, they're just not going to come back again. So slowly over time, less and less, the mind begins to settle. It doesn't happen, in 24 hours or 10 days or 2 weeks or a year, maybe in a year if you had retreat time to do that. But really, it takes time for the mind to settle and to stop in the pause. This is the point that we really need to recognize. Recognize the mind beyond thought, between the thoughts. So when we sit and the thoughts are coming, then we might recognize there actually is a pause before the next one comes. So we're resting in the pause and trying to grow the pause, to be able to stay without getting sucked into that. They're all vying for attention. The sound comes and the mind wants to identify it. And then once it identifies it, it has a relational aspect to it. And then it takes us somewhere else. And then we're over here. And that reminds me of my father. And then that smell, whatever it is, it takes us away. So, but because the important thing to remember is we can't hold two thoughts at the same time. And that's a given. They will say that's true. You can't hold two thoughts. You might think you can because you're multitasking. You might think, oh, well, I'm doodling while I'm listening. But there's a very subtle flip, 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 flip. They say there's 65 mind moments in a snap of a finger. So if we really can grow our focused attention, then we can take that laser sharp mind and we can put it right, shine it right on the object. And there are so many objects. We want to do mind training. We want to do 7-point thought transformation. If we don't have concentration, we're all over the map. We're just saying the words. But if we have concentration and we can actually bring that in and analyze, what does it mean to give the victory to others? We can take that sharp mind and use it, slicing through like a hot knife through butter. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, so I don't want to keep you. I know it's now already going over. but I want to dedicate. Okay, so let's dedicate. We'll just do the simple dedication prayers, and we'll save Master Shanti Deva's prayer, which I love very much. But we'll do the dedication prayers that are on page 8, maybe. You find them, Sheila? Yes, right there. Okay. So before we begin, to really just take stock of the fact that we came together to do this extraordinary practice. How many people in the room versus how many people in the world? This is so rare and precious to have even an idea to develop a concentration on your cushion. So unbelievably rare. Lama Yeshe used to say that just coming to the cushion, you're already successful. So this is to really rejoice. And rejoicing is one of the easiest practices for accumulating merit. Just rejoice. Rejoice in our own goodness, in the goodness of all the people in our room, and in the goodness of all the people around the world who are practicing to benefit others in one way or another. And so let's dedicate all that virtue and all the virtue of all of our teachers. Wow, just dedicate it all, okay? By merit of this virtue, may I become Buddha. Lead all beings, everyone, into that enlightened state. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow, and may that born not decline, but increase more and more. And then for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In the snowy mountain paradise, you're the source of good and happiness. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig, please remain until samsara ends. And for Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Great upholder of the moral way, the bountiful bearer of all good, sustaining and spreading Buddha's word, expounding magnificent prayers. Kyabje Zopa, the great Rinpoche, protecting disciples, please live long. And then we can think of all of our teachers, all teachers who are relieving the suffering of the world through the power of loving kindness and compassion, reciting White Tara's long life mantra. Om Tare Ture Guru Ayur Punye Gyana Pushtim Kurui Soha. Om Tare Ture Guru Ayur Punye Gyana Pushtim Kuru Soha. Om Tare Ture Guru Ayur Punye Gyana Pushtim Kuru Soha. And then please also dedicate for the welfare of anyone in your life who is unwell or those who have passed away to all those on Shanti Deva's prayer list and Vajrapani's prayer list and prayer lists all over the world. May beings be healed. May they have fortunate rebirths. Great. Thank you all very much for coming. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Elaine. This is such a beautiful class. Really, really lovely.
Thank you.
Very happy. Hi, Johnny. All right, folks. Until next week.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thanks a
Thank you so
lot.
much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Sheila.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Big love.